Has anyone else felt like gaming giants all over the world have recently started to feel really soulless? Think about it for a second. When did you last see a studio like EA make a game that wasn't just a re-release or a cash grab? Well, some of you may have actually completely forgotten they ever made good games, and I wouldn't blame you. What about Blizzard, taking a genre-defining shooter game like Overwatch and burying it under what is frequently heralded as a cash grab of a sequel? Or Valve, who don't really seem to make anything anymore. Artificial intelligence is threatening to take over every aspect of the process. Reports of massive layoffs at big-name studios are everywhere, and the products made by the AAA studios have felt money-hungry, uninspired, or lazily built. It just feels like the days of Nintendo and Sega competing for the best platformer, or studios coming up with innovative and revolutionary ideas, are long gone. These big-name studios don't really seem to care anymore. However, over recent years, smaller games, ones made by teams ranging from just tens of people to a single guy, have started to pick up the pieces that these AAA studios left. Indie games have been on the rise, and if you know me, you know I love me some indie games. Of course, not all indies are great successes, and not all AAAs are incredible failures. You still have your Super Mario Wonders and the day befores. But when an indie game is good, oh man, is it good. Indie games have given us some of the most fun, emotionally driven, and unforgettable experiences you can find today. These games made us laugh, made us cry, made us reflect on the world around us. These games are full of passion and love for the art, and it's reflected in the final product. I wanted to do something a little different today. Normally I talk about game design and how mechanics work and why these mechanics work that way, but today I wanted to instead talk about how passion and authenticity of creators shine through their projects. There's one game in particular that I really want to show it off with. You saw the thumbnail already, so to nobody's surprise, it's Lethal Company.
You gotta do the jump, come on. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm looking.
Oh. What the heck?
This may seem like a strange choice for me to go with, and you'd be right. It's not my favorite game of all time, nor is it a game I'd say has the greatest emotional impact on me, but it is a game that demonstrated the care and love the developer, Zeekerss, has put into it, and it took the world by storm, meaning it makes for a great case study. Anyhow, I'd best stop rambling. I've got a quota to meet. Let's begin. But before I talk about Lethal Company, I would like to first talk about what Zeekerss was doing before his massive breakthrough success. I won't dive too deep into it, there are plenty of videos out on that already, but I will give you a brief overview. Zeekerss got to start making games on Roblox. These games were clearly made by that of a less experienced and younger developer, but it was abundantly clear that he was having fun doing this. Zeekerss would continue releasing Roblox games with a few minor successes, even being nominated for a Bloxy, but would eventually move over to Unity, where he'd make more well-known and successful titles, some of which you may have heard of, like It Steals and The Upturned. These titles were oozing with passion and personality. If one thing was clear, Zeekerss loved the craft. I bring this all up because I wanted to show how Zeekerss' game dev journey was one that was driven by passion. Zeekerss wasn't primarily making games for the money or fame or anything of that sort, although I'm sure there were driving factors in all of those, but his main #1 reason for him doing game development was simply because he enjoyed the craft. And then came Lethal Company. You already know this, but it exploded. Lethal Company was outselling titles like Cyberpunk, Red Dead Redemption, and even Call of Duty 3 on Steam for its first couple weeks. Lethal Company became a massive breakthrough success, with Zeekerss earning what is estimated to be millions from the game. Zeekerss would continue releasing updates containing more enemies, equipment, items, and later down the line, even new moons. Everything he added was well thought out, and all decisions were carefully considered. Enemies are all super unique and diverse, none of them feeling like copies of each other. New moons are clearly structured with their outdoor enemies in mind. For example, Adamant encourages the player to traverse vertically, which is perfect for the tulip snakes. Artifice has big holding facilities for the old birds, and the exterior is full of visual storytelling. In fact, you wouldn't even know about Artifice being in the game if you didn't first look inside the locked shed on Adamant, nor would you know about Embryon if you hadn't read the bestiary for the old bird, giving more purpose to parts of the game that players may have considered to be uninteresting or not worth exploring. Or, you know, you can just Google search Secret Moon Lethal Company and miss out on finding these moons for yourself, or I just spoiled them for you, in which case, my bad. Zeekerss could have easily taken the money and ran, left the game as it was, or rush out changes for the sake of content updates. But instead, Zeekerss took his time, releasing updates that were high in quality. Even with maps like Embryon, which are super rigged against you and way unbalanced, you can tell that Zeekerss was intending for that. It doesn't feel like a case of being rushed, it's clearly a purposeful decision that he made. Nothing in these updates feels half-baked, poorly thought out, or like a reskin. Zeekerss takes the time to make quality changes and additions to his game, and if that doesn't show he cares, I don't really know what will. Something else I'd like to mention about Lethal Company, which absolutely contributed to its success, is that the game is just super funny. I'm sure you've seen the clips out there.
He's going so damn slow.
Hey, Butter.
Wait, is it safe for me to hit him over here without him hitting me?
It's your problem.
Did you kill? Oh my god, Skit, you absolute fucking demon.
This game is insanely clippable, and that's where a lot of the game's popularity came from. I first heard about the game through the silly videos on TikTok, and I'm sure a lot of you found out the same way too.
Go, go, go! Bye, Butter! Go!
No, no.
Egg beater.
Well, that wasn't good.
What I find interesting about this though is that the game never gives you a button to clip things, or even encourages you to send clips to people or post them online. The game was just funny enough to get people to start doing that all on their own, without any calls to action or built-in methods for doing so. I bring this up because the game is a horror game. Zeekerss definitely made it with the intention of creating a horror game, and yet the game ended up having a lot of charm and humor to it. Zeekerss very well could have tried to suppress this and stick to a strictly horror-focused vision, but instead Zeekerss embraced this fact, making it a core part of the game's appeal. This is thanks to a decision made back during development of another game of his, The Upturned. Zeekerss had realized that he was strictly trying to make games that were scary, and while this definitely paid off in releases like It Steals and Dead Cedar, Zeekerss felt he wasn't being true to himself by restricting himself so much. Quote, "I realized I was intentionally holding back a lot of my identity from my games, since I was so focused on making something scary. When I stopped confining myself to that one goal, my next game, The Upturned, suddenly became funny." You can see that Zeekerss is honestly a funny guy. I mean, just look at this video he made to promote his Patreon. By being true to himself, he made The Upturned into a funny, scary game, and it became his most popular game on Steam. This paved the way for Lethal Company to do the same, and clearly it paid off. This wouldn't have happened if Zeekerss hadn't taken the risk to make something that clearly reflected himself and what he enjoys creating. Now, if we compare this love and care in Lethal Company's design to many recent AAA titles, you'd see quite the stark difference. You'd definitely find plenty of good AAA games, sure, and a few okay ones, but there's still a whole lot of bad ones. A lot of these games, especially the live service ones, are jam-packed with microtransactions, bloated full of attempts to take your money and time from you, and even engineered to be addicting as possible so that big guys can earn a couple extra bucks. Classic IPs are being rehashed to death, and they've lost the spark that made them so fun in the first place. I'm sure the developers working on these games are super talented people who really do care for the products they're making. The problem comes with the higher-ups, who don't really care about the games and instead care about the profits. That being said, while writing the script, we got Lethal Company and Fortnite. I don't play Fortnite and I can't speak for how good the game is, but hey, that's pretty cool. As much as we point the finger at AAA studios for their carelessness, it's not like indie developers are exactly innocent either. Too often do people make a game expecting it to blow up, focusing on the numbers and their end goal instead of the path to reach it. And when it doesn't end up as successful as they hoped, they give up. In fact, according to data gathered in 2022, there are around 33,000 developers on Steam who've only released one game. That's a lot! You also have indie studios like Fantastic, who tried to ride off the success of other popular franchises, exploited developers to save money, cut corners, and outright lied about what their product entailed. And we saw it backfire in real time. 15 days after the launch of The Day Before, Fantastic announced that they were closing their studio for good. Hey guys, RUBIE here. Quick correction, it was not 15 days, it was 4. 4 days. That's wild. It only took 15 days, yes, days, for the studio to realize that, hey, we messed up big time. I know that there are quite a few aspiring game developers in my audience, and I am one myself. And for us just starting out, it can be easy to fall into this trap of wanting to make a massive viral success. However, if there's one thing we can learn from Zeekerss' story, It's to fall in love with the process and not the product. Find joy in solving the programming problems you're presented with, in making art, in writing stories, and in composing music. Have fun building worlds and experiences for people to enjoy. Use your passion to drive you to make the best game you can. Not just one people will buy, but one people will want to pick up and play and experience time and time and time again. And who knows, maybe you'll make the next indie smash hit, but don't focus too much on that. Make sure you're focused first and foremost on enjoying being a game developer. As I previously mentioned, I myself am an aspiring game developer, and I'm currently in the process of making my very own game, RUBIE. It's a puzzle platformer game about exploiting your immortality to solve challenging puzzles and to delete the System32 folder on your computer. I've got a devlog available right here for anybody interested. Of course, if for some reason you haven't played Lethal Company yet, there's a link to it down in the description, so go get all your friends to buy it, make it a game night, it is so much fun. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm pretty sure there's a bracken around here somewhere and they are scary, so I'm gonna get out. I'll see you all later.